Alrighty. So whenever I carve any sign, whether it be hand carving it, or CNC carving it, there's always going to be little bits of stuff inside there. I take a stiff bristle brush and I just kind of work everything out. Got everything knocked loose. I got my spray gun. And I just blow it all out. I have a little pressure on here right now because I have it set up for spraying my finish. Now I have this all ready for on the shellac. If I'm using MDF or oak, I'll spray shellac over it to seal it. If I'm doing any other wood, like the redwood fence boards, I don't seal it with anything. I just spray it with my paints. Alright, so after brushing it all off and blowing it all off, I'm ready to seal this. And what I use to seal it is I get a can of shellac. You can get it as amber or clear, or you can get the dry shellac stuff online. But then you have to mix it with alcohol and let it dissolve. But so this is a lot easier just in this big can. You can get spray cans, the rattle cans of it too. You know, I don't think they rattle. I can't remember right. It's been a while since I used them. But I take this and denatured alcohol and the sprayer I use. I don't use this sprayer much anymore. It works okay, but it's just kind of a pain to clean sometimes. So I use what's called a critter sprayer. I have a sock on it because sometimes if I'm lazy and I don't clean it, it will leak out the top. So I put a sock on here to keep it from leaking on my stuff. I do the same thing with the sock with this sprayer because the lids have always leaked on me. The lid on it always leaks up the top and it drips, so I use a sock around there over the top to hold any drips out. But so what's on the sprayer is one of these mason jars. So I keep one mason jar full of, like this one has mineral spirits in it because I've been using a lot of shellac. So I keep mineral spirits in here for when I'm done. I kind of clean out everything by spraying. I connect this to this and I spray mineral spirits out. But anyway, so I have a sock on here, or this jar on here, and it's got the shellac in it, and I filled it about 2/3 full of shellac, and then another third full of the denatured alcohol. And then I hook it up to my sprayer with these, or to my air compressor. So with these sprayers, you actually can spray undiluted or unthinned material. Like you can pour polyurethane straight out of the can in here and spray it. Works just fine. But I always like to thin it out because then it dries faster. And when you add the thinner to it, that's adding the drying agent. And so with the alcohol in it, it should dry pretty fast. With polyurethane, it's half and half the way I do it, of poly, and then the other half of mineral spirit. If I do lacquer, it's half lacquer and half lacquer thinner. But anyway, I'm going to come over on this side because it's easier for me. And I just coat it. With this being a little bit bigger, I'll just turn it instead of trying to go over the whole thing. Not rocket science, it's real simple. And now as I'm turning it, I'm looking for any spots that still looks like it's needing to be sprayed. So you can see the light spot. And I try to get as much of them as I can. I'm not worried about a perfect finish on this because after I paint it, I'll be sanding the top anyway, so I'm not trying to be perfect. I think that'll probably be good for right now, and then I'm going to get these edges. I am kind of going heavy on this because there's so many intricate parts of this. I want to get all those little spots that cut. Because if I don't, that's going to really just soak up the paint. Anyway, that's that. I'll let that dry. I'll let you know about how many minutes that is. It'll probably be at least a half hour, maybe an hour, because it's kind of cool this morning. For me, it's usually hot here though, so wherever you're at, it might take longer to dry, but I can come up and I touch it, like right now, you feel that it's wet. I'll come touch it in like a half hour, see if it feels dry. If it feels sticky, still needs a little bit more time to go. But I just can put the sprayer back up, and then I wait. Alrighty, so it's been actually longer than what I wanted it to be. It was dry in about an hour. I was gonna spray it, but then my wife wanted me to make breakfast on Blackstone, so I had to make hash browns, eggs, bacon, pancakes. It worked. So now that's all done with, I'm gonna spray this. What I use is never paint. I use, well, you might want to call this paint. This is chalked paint. This is red. This is black. This comes out kind of, well, this is charcoal. This comes out kind of like a dark gray, not all the way deep black. But once you spray it with the clear, it darkens up, so it looks more black. You wouldn't really be able to tell that it's not black unless you looked at black side by side with it. This is marsh ink. So this works like a primer too. This is black, and then I also use black primer. The chalk paint comes in different colors. If I can't spray it, then I just get the little cheap paints from Walmart that are like these, and I brush in the decals, because any kind of paint you spray takes forever to dry, and when you sand it off, it clogs up your sanding discs. Like, let me see if I have a sample. Like, this is a good example. Paint just clogs all up in the sandpaper. So now the only part of this paper that's good is the center, but because this is all clogged up, I can't use this at all. This is trash. So I try to avoid that as much as I can. You're still going to get that no matter what with sanding, but with paint, any kind of rattle can paint, you spray it on there, it's going to clog up within like just a couple passes of the orbital sander on there. So then you go through a crap ton of that sandpaper. I try to avoid that. My sign making friend uses a belt sander, which again you can see this is all caked on from using paint. So this is trash. I just keep around for the little bits and pieces if I need to sand it. But He uses a belt sander. One has 80 grit sandpaper on it. The other one has like 220, I think. He has two sanders. I just have one. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Smart ink and shake it up a little bit. There's no marble in there to make it rattle, but I just shake it up. And then you're going to do just little light spurts. You're not going to cake it. Shh, you're not going to do that. You can do until you fill in the area. You don't want to be too heavy in one area and not in the other, so you just kind of do a quick pass and you let it dry. And then after you get it all covered, and then you're going to turn it on its side, but you'll see that in a minute. I don't usually do signs this big like this, but my finger gets a little bit tired. Then I'll turn it up on its side. And I'm looking for a white spot. Because when you're spraying from the top, you're not really getting the sides too well. When you try to find anything that looks brown, just make sure it's all black, or whatever color I'm doing. Rotate this a little bit so I can see from another angle. This is probably where gloves. On this side there's lots of little lines you have to fill in. With it being so big, each time you rotate it, you see new sides that you didn't get from the other side. Try to rotate it in the light a little bit so you can't see. I'll take my glasses off to see it close. holding my breath, by the way. Alrighty, I think I got it all. We'll let that dry now. Yep. We'll let that dry. See you back later. Alrighty, so it's been a few hours. If this is a regular little sign done on something like this, with just lettering on it, I would have sprayed it and then like within 10 minutes sanded it off and then finished it. But because there's so many little things on here, I had to spray kind of heavy on this after I did the first light pass. So I wanted to make sure that it was dry. It might still be a little bit wet underneath, but the surface feels dry. But we'll just see. If it's still not dry enough underneath, I'll just stop the video and we'll start up again. If it was a sign like I just showed on the little board there, I'd start out with 80 grit and just take it right off. But there's all these little lines, and I'm afraid if I just go right away with 80 grit, I'm going to take away some of the detail. And I don't really want to take away any detail. So I put in 120 grit, or 150 grit I think it is. Yeah, 150 grit, and then I'll sand that off, and then I'll put on 220 to kind of smooth it out. So this is the fun part. This is the reveal. Oh wait, before I get too far, I gotta grab my air compressor hose. I want to have this available so I can do the reveal. So here we go. It clogs it up a little bit, but that's doing the whole sign. If I were to use paint, this would have clogged up before you even got all of Darth Vader's face out. Now I'm going to do 220, just kind of smooth it all out and get all this little bit of stuff out. Then as Eric says, the reveal, the funnest part. It looks kind of dirty, but... Oh, I'm gonna have to turn up my air. One moment. Air pressure on here because then it might blow something out. I've had that happen where the air was just too strong and it busts the paint loose. We don't want that. Cut it because it's in the V-cut, just so we can get those. Or maybe I'll just see how it is and I'll try to get it with a sponge roller. That's what I'll probably do. I'll just do that, try to get the sponge roller. If there were any spots in the block or in the paint areas that was missed, I'm going to wait a minute and let the compressor finish. I think it's going to turn it off. Alrighty, if I find that there was spots missed with paint, where there was like light spots, what I could do is, because this is black, I would just take a Sharpie and color it in black. Or if it was a different color and I had that Sharpie color, I could just color it in with the Sharpie. If I didn't have that color, the trick that I learned is with the spray cans, you just spray a little bit in the cap, you take a little brush, dip it in there, and paint what you need to paint. Put the cap back on after this dries so you don't want them to have it run all over. And let that dry, and then sand the top off again if you have any over paint. Sand it off and let it go. But now I'm going to get ready to paint the top color on this. So I'm going to get stuff ready and I'll be back. All right, so paint I'm going to use on this one is called just gold. It's the Extreme Glitter Gold. The paint I used on the marble is called Brushed Gold. They're a little bit different. This has a lot of shiny to it. This is kind of dull. So I thought the shiny would be kind of cool because you have all like C3PO is shiny and you know it's space. It should be a little shiny. So if it doesn't look good, I'll just paint over it. It's not a big deal. I use these little brush rollers. Just pour a little bit of paint in here. Leave that open. Then I'm gonna fill up my brush. Kind of soak all that paint in there. Try to get any of the excess off because I don't want any big drips. And then I just let this kind of do its thing. Probably take a few coats. It looks like it might be a little clear. This is like a milky paint coming out. The other, you can see the coverage right away. But this, you have to see, it looks kind of white in there. So I've never used this color before. It's all an experiment. Might take a few coats, like I said. We'll just see what happens. I might have should have put the other gold down first and then covered that with this. But that's the thing, whenever you're doing stuff like this, it's always an experiment. You don't really know how it's going to turn out the first time. And then you learn from it. I don't see much more of a difference on this other than it looking wet. I'm going to resort to something different, but now, of course, if you have the patience to paint all the intricate parts, more power to you. I ain't one with that kind of patience, so I ain't about to even attempt that. Not a painter and I'm not an artist. I just slap stuff on and hope it looks good. Try to get my edges now. I think I may have to cover it with that other gold. This is just really thin. So, I think that's what I'm going to do. Trying to get all the big smudges off that I might have. I think it's going to look nice when it's done. But with this just having like a clear base, get some of that gold. We'll do this in 2 colors. That's something I learned now with that glitter paint is it's basically a milky white. So I'm going to put that glitter paint over a gold like this. This is looking better already. So I have to do the edges here in 2 coats because I have black overspray that I never sanded off. Just kind of in a hurry. And I should have just taken a little bit of sandpaper with my hand and wiped it off, but oh well. It'll all be fine at the end of the day. I miss my music right now. I always have music or a book playing in here. Usually if I have something loud like X-Cards on, I have music. Because then I don't have to try to listen to the stories. I'm just going to try to smooth out all my edges where I did. Alright, that's that for now. I'm going to let that dry because it's water-based paint. You got to let that dry for a little while. And then I'm going to reapply this gold. Until then, I'm going to take this inside and clean the roller out and clean the pan out. Just got to get it wet. And squeeze it all out and it's all good. And I don't know if you can see all those little lines I didn't get sanded off, the roller got them. But the roller didn't fill in all my other lines. So far I'm saying it's a success. I think it looks good. Alrighty. It's been about a half hour. Still dry. It's dry enough for what I need it to be. I am going to do the extra fancy glitter on it. What I originally did. It didn't show up right. I might have to get my other tube of this stuff. The thing about this paint that you get from Walmart, these are like $1. Maybe $1.50, depending on what kind you get. So that's why they're nice to use. Also, if you have an airbrush, I spray these through my airbrush. This glitter probably wouldn't work too well, but solid colors would work just fine. I just thin it down with a little bit of water, it's water-based, until it sprays through the airbrush. Right. Same process as before. You kind of see that it dries really fast. It goes down milky. Maybe you can't see it, but it goes down milky. So then you kind of see where you did. And then it goes away. So kind of like this glittery stuff. Now that I know that I got to put a base coat down. I'm not really applying pressure to the brush because I don't want to squeeze the paint out. I don't want to fill in all the little bits and pieces in there. But I do want it to be, I do want the shine to be there, so I'll probably use a lot of paint. But again, it's only $1. Can't go wrong with dollar paint, really, can you? Even if you mess up, you just paint over it. No biggie. At least I'm not all worried about it. It's not like you're wasting material like boards or anything. I've ruined a lot of boards. I think I about have it covered pretty good. Just gotta get my edges. I'm gonna get down so I can see. Gotta take my glasses off. Since I turned 40, 7 years ago, I can't wear contacts anymore. So if I want to see anything up close, I gotta take my glasses off and get down and dirty like this. And that's kind of why I stopped doing the hand routering or the hand router sign, because I got to get close to see, and I suppose I can get eye protection, but this shot just doesn't have any. I don't keep it on hand. There we go. I think that's good. Let me get my glasses back on so I can see. I think that looks good. It's kind of glittery. I'll bring the camera down close so you can see. What do you think? See, these filled in pretty good where it didn't sand. The paint covered it. It's fine. I think it looks good. Anyway, let's see what time it is. Actually, I can't see what time it is because I can't get out of this. Anyway, last I checked, it's only like maybe 5 hours in from when I first started the video this morning. I think it's like 1 or 1:30 now in the afternoon. I started like at 8 in the morning. So after this dries in about an hour, then I'll put it back over on the little stool there and we'll spray shellac over it. Alright, so I checked the time and it's like 2 o'clock, around about 2. I started painting this, or I started shellacking this the morning about 8 o'clock. And now it's 2, and I'm doing the final thing of shellac on it. If I was thinking and not in a hurry, I should have shellacked the back when I shellacked the the front, slacked the back, and then waited like 15 minutes and flipped it over onto the little prongs I have sticking up, and then shellac the top, because then the back would be done. But the way it is now, I'm going to do the top, and then I'm going to let it dry overnight, because I don't want to have any chance of any dimples showing from my little prongs. So I'll let it dry overnight, and then in the morning, I'll do the back. So, oh well, I was in a hurry. One thing I didn't show earlier is I usually use the sanding pads. I put this down on my table, and then I sand. I put the material in there and I sand. It kind of gives it a grip. Another thing you can do is put sandpaper down. You know, have a sanding board that the board is there and you have sandpaper glued down. Kind of very similar to this, but this I just have to square off like lids and stuff with boxes. That sandpaper glued on there. If you set it on there, it'll stay grippy and you can sand the stuff without it sliding all over. Anyway, so I'm going to do the shellac on the top. Again, like I said, it's only been 6 hours since I started, and now I'm doing the final coat. It's not days of painstaking painting, it's hours. And even at that, most of the time it's just waiting. It's waiting for it to dry. So you do other stuff while you're waiting for it to dry. Work on more CNC stuff, work on other projects. It's not like it's fine furniture. You don't need to have a perfect dust-free environment. At least not in my shop, I don't. If I want it to be smooth when I'm done, I take some, if I'm using shellac, I'll take some very high grit steel wool, like 000 steel wool, and I'll wipe down the top with it. And then you can even buff it. Shellac you can buff to have a high gloss finish. So it's simple. I always try to do things simple. Anyway, this was full when we started. We only used about a third of it. I'm going to mix that all back up again, because it does separate from the alcohol. Even when you get it in the can, you got to stir it up before you use it. Anyway, here we go. Off to the races. One pass. I'm going to stop right there because I did turn my compressor up. I think I'm putting too much out. 1 minute. shut. I gotta open that back up. I had the big door open. Anyway, I'll let that dry. I'll check it for the feel. I'll kind of look to see if it looks like there's any light spots. Because with the shellac, it has a little bit of a shine. So if you see the light spot, then you know you might have missed a spot. But doing 4 passes, when I do one this way, then one this way, then one this way, and one this way, that's 4 passes. It's usually pretty good. If anything, I might need one more set of those, and then I'm done. Except for the back side because I didn't do it. It's 6 hours. 6 hours to do that. A little sign like this. If this were a sign, with just lettering, maybe a couple little pictures. You spray it, you carve it. You spray it with the ink or the primer or whatever. You let it sit 10 minutes. You sand it off. And if you're going to do different colors in different areas, different things, mask it off. If you have little knots like this here that you don't want color in, just put tape over it so you don't spray that area. You got to kind of look at your board. I didn't have to worry about that with this because it's all MDF, but with real wood, you get knots and cracks that you might not want to fill with paint, especially if it's a color. Black usually you can get by with it because it just looks like a crack anyway. But sand it, and then after it's sanded, you blow it all off. You get all the stuff off of it, and then you clear it. You clear it with just a rattle can, a spray lacquer if you wanted to give it to somebody right away. The guys that have the mobile shop, they take your order right there while they're standing in front of you, and then they lay it all out with layout letters, which I have some of those. Well, these are images, not really the letters, but it's the same idea. You take one of these letters and you put it on your board, you position it the way you want it, take the marsh ink and just dust over it. When you dust over it, it leaves this impression there, so you take that off and then you see the outline of what this was, because this masked off that area. You carve around there or carve in there or however you're going to carve it. And then you fill it with more marsh ink or primer or whatever you're doing. You sand it off, like I said, in 10 minutes. And then you spray it with spray lacquer from a rattle can, because that you can carry with you in your trailer or whatever you're doing your mobile sign work stuff in if you're doing that. So spray lacquer will be drying in like 15-20 minutes, as long as it's in a rattle can and as long as you're not putting it on too heavy. And you can just give it away. So you can make a sign, you can take an order for a sign like this if you're hand routing. But again, if you were to hand router, I have this base on there, and you just route, you trace your line. Real simple. Anyway, take the order, carve it, paint it, sand it, clear it, all done within an hour or two, depending on how much stuff you had to carve out of the deal. But once it's carved, you're looking at maybe half hour, 45 minutes tops before you can hand it to somebody and say, there you go, enjoy your sign. Not like that using paint, because you gotta wait forever. So anyway, I hope that was some help. If not, you can give me some questions. I can point you to another guy that can give you probably close to the same advice. Anyway, peace out.